We can edit that out. We can edit that out. We can edit that out.
Hey, let's do our real picture on 3. Ready? You're not going to do it. I'm going to count to 3, and you're just going to watch.
I'm with you.
1, 2, 3.
And we're back.
Oh, you did it with me. That was real nice. That was real nice. Hey, we're back in several ways. We're back with another episode, and we're back at the Podfest Berlin. You know, this time live in front of an audience.
Absolutely. We're at the illustrious Selina Hotel in Mitte in downtown Berlin. There's a lovely rooftop terrace overlooking the city. We've got a little handful of friends in attendance.
A handful is quite generous, you know. Yeah. Don't worry.
We got some people that were supposed to show up on time that we're gonna shame as soon as they walk in. It's gonna be great.
We're gonna edit in all the crowd noises from Kiss Alive too, so it sounds like we're just like really like well known and famous, and people will be yelling in the background. Jack, we love you. We love your underwear.
You know, there was an album that did that.
The what?
There was an album that did that. It was this band Alice Donut. They were on like Alternative Tentacles.
Okay.
And they had a live show that they recorded at CBGB's, and they spliced in all of the live crowd noise from Kiss Alive 2 into their recording. So it sounds like they're playing a huge stadium, but they're actually just playing kind of an empty house.
Chaotic Discord did that as well.
Okay.
On the I can't remember the name of the album off the top of my head. We'll post that later for anybody who's interested. Yeah, but one of the albums, they did the same thing. So
maybe it's a thing.
It's a thing. We could do it.
Yeah,
we'll be the 3rd out of 3. That's good.
We'll get really weird crowd noises too.
So what do you think about like doing a podcast in shorts? Is it weird? Does it take you out of your comfort zone?
It's a little weird.
Okay. Because you look like a guy who's serving drinks on a yacht. Kind of.
You're only saying that because that's what I messaged you earlier today.
Yeah, I'm trying to use the material. We were creating content, so I'm using content. And then I said, yeah, I look like a Angus Young impersonator who doesn't have the rest of the band to put it into context. And you're like, oh, that old little boy is lost somehow.
Well, you know, summer is kind of a rough time, at least for like dudes.
Yeah. How do you accessorize those shorts when you're a guy?
Yeah. Well, also like I think just the design of like summer clothes for men is pretty bad in general. Like there's only kind of like 3 modes of short that are available. One is like, you know, you look like you're serving drinks on a yacht, or you look like you're lost at a fair.
See, I heard cargo shorts were out. But how else do you keep your phone and your cigarettes with you if you're a guy? Because I'm not one of them like free-spirited guys who's going to carry a clutch around with me, you know? I haven't gotten to that point yet. Maybe when I'm 60 or something, I'll be like, oh, fuck the world. I carry a clutch, you know? Stereotypes be damned. You know?
Well, don't you have like kind of like a sort of a utility belt sort of scenario?
Yeah, but that would look weird with shorts. I mean, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. When you're punk, what do you do when you're wearing shorts? Can you wear combat boots with shorts? I used to, but it's only maybe like 10 years that I've realized that you got to wear Vans or low tops of some sort, because combat boots with shorts. Let me check. You guys wearing combat boots? Yeah, okay. Dennis isn't. But girls can pull it off. This is okay. You know, and they're not really combat boots; they're fashionable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I think combat boots with shorts is sort of. I've seen people pull it off, but whenever I've tried it, it has not worked at all. So I tend to stay away.
Can you wear a second belt with shorts? Because you were just saying how I should do that. But are you wearing a second belt with shorts?
I am wearing a second belt with shorts.
Okay, I'm gonna try that. What else we got? We got an episode about roommates.
We do
coming up. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So roommates, why does everybody have them?
Because the housing market's fucked. You said, why do people have roommates? Well, I think part of the reason is because the housing market's fucked, and it's impossible to get flats at any kind of affordable rate in the city or in any major metropolitan city, for that matter, in Europe or the U.S. So I feel like I know more people older that have roommates now than maybe ever before. I felt like roommates used to be something that you only had when you were like, you know, your 20s and 30s, and then you like graduate to like having your own place, or you get married, or you get a partner and you like start cohabitating. But at least when I was younger, I didn't really know any older people that lived so much in like shared living spaces.
And you don't consider a romantic partner a roommate then, is what you're saying?
Well, apparently this is a hot button topic because
Susie brought it up.
Yeah, because Susie brought it up. But I think there's sort of like there's a line somewhere. Like
Right.
At one point, you're not really the same as like a normal roommate, but you're not just living together.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of have some shared tasks, responsibilities and stuff. You're still kind of roommates. You have to cover bills and, occasionally scrape someone off a bathroom floor.
Right. I mean, when does a romantic partner cross the line of roommate to romantic partner that you just live with? And is there like a proper term from that? Like when you graduate, if you're roommates with somebody and you start sleeping with them, where is the line of crossing from roommate to she's not my roommate, she's my girlfriend, kind of like that was no lady, that was my wife.
Okay. I'm not sure where that line is.
That's a Henning Youngman one-liner.
I mean, your current situation, you guys started as roommates and then you kind of graduated into partnership.
Yeah. So I guess we're partners now. So is that the thing? You go from roommate to partner. And a partner isn't necessarily a roommate. There's somebody you partner with. That's interesting because a roommate is somebody that you're roommating with, and a partner is somebody that you're together with, trying to make a life together and working on it hand in hand, where you don't really do that with a roommate. You're not working on a life together. You just have a shared living situation.
I think that sounds about right.
Okay. I think I nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then we can move on. I suppose.
Case closed.
Yeah, case closed. Hey, there's Julie. Speaking of my roommate / partner, we just decided we're partners, not roommates. We had to define it, I was good. Julie's here now, so expect a lot of crowd noises. Yeah, you can go ahead and make noise. You can laugh and stuff. Say hi, Julie.
Hi.
Oh, she didn't do the thing. Hi, Julie. Anyway. Who did that? Who was the say goodnight, Gracie? Goodnight, Gracie. That was
George
Burns and
Gracie.
Grace Slick, Grace Jones, Grace.
It was Grace Jones for sure.
Grace. Yeah.
George Burns and Grace Jones, the classic duo.
Grace somebody. Gracie. Anyway. So roommates, everybody's had them, and everybody's had really bad ones. Who was your worst roommate, or do you have like a really good roommate story about the worst roommate ever?
Me personally, I don't know.
It can be about anyone.
I wouldn't say I've had like total nightmare roommates. I'd say I've had like roommates with like weird quirks that kind of suck. But
because I'm leading you into this one because I am so fascinated about this story. Your girlfriend, current girlfriend, and hopefully future and permanent girlfriend. Can you say it like that? Do you say it like that?
I think that worked totally.
Was that nice?
No, it works.
I think
It's
that
good.
was nice.
It's good.
She had one of the most insane roommates I've ever heard of.
This is true.
And I would love for you to tell that story, even though I think, one third of the audience has already heard this story.
She'll be probably walking in right when we're talking about this, which is fine. But yeah, so Karina had a colleague. She works as like a caregiver for people with disabilities, and she had like a colleague that she worked with that was kind of like left Berlin for a while, came back, was trying to like get her footing in the city, kind of bouncing around from sublets. And right around the time, we have a land war in Europe. We've got energy prices going through the roof, and as like a kind of a fail-safe measure, Karina decided that she was going to take this person on as a roommate for a few months to kind of help offset energy costs and maybe have like a nice time. She's a very nice person. They seem to get along very well, and kind of, she just seemed like a normal person. And as we know, you never really know someone until you move in with them or you go travel with them. Those are like the two. Or you see them naked. Or you see them naked.
Right.
But I don't know. Do
I know you? I've never seen you naked.
You could see someone naked and not really know them.
That's a good point. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. So, anyways, the person who will not name, we'll just call her the roommate.
Yeah, because we don't want to talk shit and air other people's dirty laundry.
No.
We just want to tell funny stories.
So the person told her that she only had a couple suitcases and 3 boxes. Which is like, okay, if you're moving in for like just a handful of months or something, that's totally fine. That should be good. Just a couple things, not too much to like make
You hear those sirens? They're coming for the roommates.
They're coming for all the bad roommates.
That's right. Lock them up in a rubber room with a shower and wet fish.
That doesn't sound so bad. Anyways, she arrives with a couple suitcases, but also like 33 boxes, which is a lot when you don't have a permanent place to stay, like big moving boxes, not like little like trinkets and knickknacks. We're talking like full-on U-Haul size moving boxes. Comes in with all of this shit. They have to do multiple car trips. Stuff is piled to the roof, but she's only going to be there temporarily. And apparently, she has a couple storage facilities as well that are also totally full. Oh, and speak of the devil. Hey, Karina.
Here we go. So she can fact check you on this in case you're misleading the audience.
Feel free to fact check me at any time.
Karina just showed up. We're talking about your former roommate. Yeah. Here we go. So right now we're talking about all the boxes she brought with her.
Yeah. So
here we go.
So all of a sudden it comes in, and there's now a very clear understanding that there's a little more than she kind of bargained for. There's just shit packed to the ceiling, and she never really unpacked. She just sort of lived in a fort of boxes for the duration of the time that she lived there. And she always kind of kept the door closed. I think she was a little like embarrassed or secretive about what was going on in there. But there was this boxes of shit everywhere. So that was just the surface.
I mean, if she kept it all in the boxes, what is she so secretive of?
I think it was more just like she didn't really want Karina to see what was actually going on in the room, because that was like her bedroom, So over the course of time, things start kind of disintegrating a little bit. There's an obsession with doing laundry. So a roommate would go in and would do laundry for hours and hours and hours, and just like continuously washing clothes. So there was always like...
She would just sit in the laundry room? Or, I mean, how do you continuously do laundry at your flat? That just means that you're just sitting in your laundry room reading a book or watching the cycle go in circles. What do we got there?
Well, I think...
Would she leave the laundry room during cycles?
Yeah, but she would...
Okay.
But then she would camp out in the kitchen, so she'd like spent very little time in the actual room. But all of the common areas were like completely like overwhelmed.
Laundrified.
then there was these very extra long showers that would occur that would last for like 2 hours, 3 hours. If you can imagine, I mean, I love taking showers, but I will get bored of taking a shower at a certain point. Like as soon as you get into a shower, you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And then like, you know, over time you kind of just sort of lose your, you know, shower vibe.
Yeah, once you get wrinkly, it's time to get the fuck out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for me, that's the cutoff point.
And I usually get out way before I get wrinkly. But if I did start to get wrinkly, I'd be like, oh, wow, you know, I mean, the LSD kicked in and I've been in here way too long. It's time to go look at some melting walls. Know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah. So 2-hour shower.
2-hour shower. And then like, but 2-hour shower with the windows shut. So there's already like a lot of laundry being done. There's all these wet clothes and stuff hanging on all of these like available coat racks and drying racks and stuff. And then should be in a sauna in the bathroom with all the windows completely shut. So it's just completely full of steam.
So surrounded by wet clothes from the laundry, cranks up the shower, jumps in the shower for 2 hours, doesn't open the windows, and steams up the place entirely.
During an energy crisis. So like, as you can imagine, you know, there was sort of like a bit of a steamy fabric softener cloud throughout the flat that just kind of permeated everything and just seemed to like last forever. And if, you know, that by itself is already grounds for immediate like removal. But the kicker was the eating habits. The eating habits were absolutely, completely insane. So we started developing a theory that she may have possibly thought she was a mermaid. Because there was like all this obsession with water. There was like, you know, steam and, you know, there was all this like water-related stuff going on. Maybe there was some sort of like, you know, long-time childhood trauma around that or something. Who knows? But when it came to eating, she was basically almost purely subsisting off of a diet of canned mackerel. Now, canned fish has its place, you know, in certain cuisines and stuff, but mackerel is like the funkiest, gnarliest one out of all of those. And so she had kind of like the system where she would take, you know, rolls of, it was just going through toilet paper like crazy, just like make a little bed on a plate out of toilet paper. She would open up a can of mackerel, dump it onto the plate, let the toilet paper soak up all of the oil. Then she would put the fish back into the can or a bowl, mix it up with mustard, and then just eat that. And that's like what she was eating for days and days and days. So if you can imagine, you know, eating all of your meals, basically cans of fish, and all of the oil that's in those cans, there was just bags and bags and bags of like fish oil paper everywhere, but that were also in combination with like a steamy fabric softener sauna bath. So it was kind of like a steamy fish bath.
Yeah. And that leads you directly into thinking that someone has a psychosis where they truly believe they're a mermaid and they try to do everything on dry land to make them comfortable with being on dry land, like Deborah Hannah or whatever.
Daryl Hannah
in
Splash,
right?
Tom Hanks.
So remember, she would like jump in the bathtub to like, finally a little bit of water. So this is what she was doing. So when you told me originally about this story, I spent like an entire evening trying to Google if there is a psychosis where people believe they're mermaids. And more interestingly to me, I was fascinated by, how do you get this? Maybe you were hit on the head while you were watching Little Mermaid as a child and it just knocked you into some like alternate reality, or what was it? Or maybe you just think mermaids are so beautiful that you just decide you are one. I found absolutely nothing about it. But I would talk on and on and on about it with Karina until Julie said, hey, I don't think Karina wants to really talk about that constantly. And I'm like, I'm fascinated by it. I can't stop. Julie was like, please stop. It's annoying everybody. So after Julie told me that, I kind of gave up the ghost, and just let it go into the ethereal. But I did come across something that I never told anybody about because I didn't want to beat it to death. But I found some advertisement for like a festival or a parade or a combination of the two for people who think they're mermaids, And that's as far as I went with it because I was like, oh, nobody's interested in my take on this anymore. Everybody's kind of bored of hearing about it. So I'm just going to put a pin in that and maybe come back to it later. And then I never did. But I think there really is a thing of that.
I mean, there's like kind of, it's sort of a bit tied into like yoga wellness kind of stuff. There are
what?
Like yoga wellness.
What's yoga wellness?
It's like a whole industry of people that are like into like yoga and
but they call it yoga?
No, yoga.
You
wellness.
said yoga.
No, I didn't.
I was thinking like YOLO, yogo. You only go once.
Anyways,
you only go swimming once.
Anyways, there are like retreats for people to like. They have like special like mermaid sort of bottom suits that they put on, and they go like, I don't know, somewhere in the Caribbean, and they kind of swim around and do mermaid stuff.
So don't you think it'd be rude though for a mermaid to eat fish? Wouldn't that be like slightly cannibalistic? Or is it that we also eat mammals as well, and that's fine?
Well, I mean, fish eat other fish, right? Is that a thing? That's a thing.
Fish eat other fish all the time.
Yeah, so I don't know if it would
Big
be...
fish eats little
fish. I mean,
fish
I think if
like
a mermaid
standard.
ate another mermaid, maybe that might kind of be like...
Okay.
Looked down upon in the mermaid community.
I'm going with that. So the let's get to the end of this story though. So Karina kicked her out onto dry land, and she dried up into a what do you call it, a sand dollar, and then buried her at I don't know what happened.
Not that extreme, but eventually, kind of moved her out. Was able to, get the keys back. There was some damage left. I mean, you live in a sauna.
Water damage?
In Berlin in the middle of winter.
Was it water damage?
It was water damage, for sure.
Did you guys get mold?
There was some mold.
Oh, okay.
But it was like surface. It wasn't like,
Green's like,
institutional.
Yeah, mold, lots of it. She's making the lots of mold face.
It was surface.
The water bill?
Yeah.
700% increase in a water bill.
Yeah.
That's and maybe when we do a website, we could like post the water bill on like the previous.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
The previous and then the next one, because Germans keep all their water bills.
Yeah, that's true.
They have like a filing system where one of the files is water bills.
It's true.
Train ticket receipts.
But here's the thing, like, this person just seems so mild-mannered and normal on the outside.
Yeah.
Like, I met her before she moved in, just really briefly, like, they were having drinks. I met him outside of a cafe. Never in a million years would I've ever thought.
You wouldn't guess it.
Because, I mean, we've lived in punk houses. Jack and I, you and I have lived in 3 different places together over the years. We've seen really weird, crazy, fucked up people left and right. This was one of the most extreme things I've ever seen, and it was like from such a mild-mannered, normal-looking person.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a conclusion to this story? Is there like a conclusion, or did she swim off into the sunset? Did Karina wave goodbye from the from the prow? What's the front of the ship? Stern? It's not starboard. I know starboard's that board that you watch stars on. That's the easy one. Stern.
Is that really how that
It's the stern or the bow. What is it? Starboard, bow, prow, stern, Howard. Something.
My only conclusion was, before you have someone move in with you, visit them at their place.
Okay.
If you can, just as a fail-safe, even if they're only there temporarily, just to get a peek.
That's really not a bad idea. I would never think that. Yeah.
Just be like, oh, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, like let's
cool.
meet.
Can I come over for coffee and see your current living situation?
Well, you don't say it like that, but
Well, why wouldn't you?
You
I would now. I want to see your current
No,
living
no,
situation, you know?
No, you be more coy about it. And you're like, oh,
'Cause
hey,
then
I'm
they might clean up all their
yeah,
weird,
you're like,
weirdo
oh, hey, you're like, hey, I'm
stuff.
in the neighborhood. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'll pick you
right.
up. Let's go. We'll go to a coffee.
that's
and then,
the good,
Then
I'll
you
pick
can
you
go in
up.
and you can peek around and you can look if there's like fish oil paper and like a steamy.
And if you go pick them
sauna.
up and they sneak out of the door, like, so you can't even see they're doing that squeeze out the door thing, you're like, maybe this is a bad idea, you know? You want to have me in for like a wine taste testing or
Something like
you
that.
know,
Yeah, wine taste testing.
We trade shoes and you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Cool.
that's my takeaway at least.
So how did we become roommates? Did that just like randomly spawn or?
It was pretty random. I mean, you picked me up off the street.
I did.
That's literally how we met.
But it wasn't
It wasn't a predator
It wasn't
thing.
a bus terminal. So let's
It wasn't a bus terminal. It wasn't a predator thing or anything.
Right.
But You did pick up a
wasn't trying to-
teenage boy off the street.
I wasn't trying to trick you out. Although back then I could have.
And then
Cute little Asian boy.
yeah, and then
I could have got a lot of money for you back then. I had no idea at the time. You know, we're all living hand to mouth. I should have pimped out my little Asian boy. hey, this isn't live, so we can get out of that. This is just live in front of them, so they're okay with it. Is that Chris Charge back there? Yeah, what's up, brother? All right, we got Chris Charge in the house now too. Okay, cool. So I wasn't the worst roommate you ever had, but I probably wasn't the best because there's some stories in there, and one in particular I'm thinking of where it was like a blind date, and I came home blackout drunk at 5 o'clock in the evening, you know, which I used to do a lot. And,
yeah, this is true.
And what was that story?
So we were living in what Germans would refer to as a 3-room apartment, but Americans would refer to as a 2-bedroom apartment. So it's 2 actual bedrooms and a living room. So we had a 2-bedroom apartment in a low-income housing institute building in Seattle. And you came home very, very, very drunk, about 5 o'clock. I had just used the bathroom, and I accidentally left my keys on top of the toilet. And then as I walked out, I was kind of getting ready. I had a date that night, and it was like a date after like a very long dry spell. So like it was like, okay, cool, like something, human contact, awesome. And I go into my room to change. I hear you come in, hear a bunch of stuff slam, bags falling and stuff. Then I hear the door to the bathroom close, and you know, I'm kind of sitting in the room, like looking at the clock. I'm like, okay, it's taking a little bit. I'm just gonna get totally ready, and then, you know, last minute I'll just, you know, go in there, get my keys. And it's really starting to get down to the wire. And I knock on the door, nothing. I'm like, Jack, you know, knocking on the door, nothing. This particular place had doors with very high clearance at the bottom. So I like go down to the floor and I look under the door, and Jack is there, completely just 100% passed out on the floor. Fully clothed, at least.
You can see the top of my head, so obviously I'm not really doing anything in there, you know.
So, but he was
besides sleeping.
But absolutely fully clothed, like not an Elvis situation or anything. Right. just unconscious. Like he went in there, forgot what he was doing, and just passed out.
Let's get the dirty visions out of people's minds, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the dirty visions have happened, but with other roommates, and maybe I'll tell those stories later. But.
Okay, so I'm like under the table, and I'm like yelling. I'm like, Jack, I gotta go, blah, blah, wake up, buddy. Banging on the door, no response. I had like one of these super soaker water guns in my room, so I filled it up with water. I was like spraying his head and like, you know, like, psst, psst, Jack, wake up, come on. Seriously, dude, like I'm gonna be late. Nothing. Well, at the time, Jack was always wearing like a bondage belt with like, you know, silver rings on it, like a leather bondage belt. And I got an idea. So I went into my bedroom and I got a wire coat hanger. and I unraveled the wire coat hanger and turned it into like a little like long like hook. And so I slid it under the door. I linked up to his bondage belt, and then I slowly but surely dragged him across the bathroom floor and then just started hitting his head against the door until he woke up.
So I actually woke up and
He did.
unlocked the door.
He did. You
Okay.
woke up and you're like, whoa, what's going on? I was like, dude, I need to go now. He's like, oh, sorry. And he
For
opens
some
the door.
reason, I thought you fished my keys and then got my keys to actually be able to use the apartment. But no, you smashed my head into the door.
Yeah. Well,
Okay. Explains a lot. I know. I was just thinking the exact same thing. Like, oh, that's why I woke up with a brutal headache. Okay.
I mean, I think the point is I needed my
Everything
car
comes in.
keys. It wasn't just the keys to the
Gotcha.
to the apartment, but I needed my actual car keys to go to this location.
So you were picking her up,
Or something, or meeting
or
somewhere.
meeting
Yeah.
mutually.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the worst story about? We've lived in 3 different places. We went over that. Was that the worst story?
I wouldn't even consider that to be a worse story. I think that's my favorite story.
Well, yeah, for you it wasn't worst. Me, it is. I don't have any I don't have anything to combat that with. You've always been a pretty calm roommate to live with.
No,
you
it was
know?
always charming. I think that's why we lived in so many places together, because
Okay.
it was always fun.
I guess that's the thing. Here's what, because me and Rob have lived in many places together, and the last place we lived in, I thought we all got along great. And one thing I learned about roommates, when you have mutual roommates, is when you think you all get along great, you're the one everybody hates. So I was like, man, there ain't nothing like the retirement home. We all get along so good. And then Brandon said, man, I got to get the fuck out of here. You're driving me crazy. He was like, what? All right. That sucks. So, little word to the wise, you know. That's living situations. That's also job situations. If you're in a job and you think your team is all getting along 100%, they're all talking shit about you behind your back.
Could be.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Word to the wise. Yeah. Speaking of Brandon, you lived with him in a little place called the Tall Guy House. Now, why was it called that?
Well, this was probably back in like 2000.
Because they were all tall.
2000 to 2001. 4 out of 5 people I was in a band with thought it would be a really good idea to all get a house together. Because what could be better than sharing a living space with people that you can already barely tolerate in general? Yeah. So all of us were living in this house, and I don't know, it was really bad. We were all very drunk on various levels of hallucinogens every day, and it was like everything about the house was weird. Our landlord asked us to refer to him as Silky Smooth.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about Silky Smooth.
Silky Smooth.
This works right into everything.
So Silky Smooth was his trade that he claimed to be in was that he was an importer of fine silk garments from Jamaica. So
And that's how he got the nickname.
So that's why he was called
Yeah,
Silky
so
Smooth.
good, man.
And you know, I think when Kyle and I first got the keys to the house and we went in, we found like a set of his silk pajamas that he had left there. So we both put them on and got very drunk and took a bunch of photos running around the house and these things. Our lease was handwritten on a yellow pad of memo paper. And sure enough, we found out he was renting the house to us illegally, and we all got evicted.
I want to hear about his book real quick.
Oh yeah, he wrote a memoir, and it was like a fiction novel, but kind of a memoir. And he asked me to transcribe it for him because it was on this yellow 5x7 memo note paper, but just stream of consciousness writing with no punctuation, just pages, double lines per line. And he handed me a big stack of this, and he was like, I want to publish this book. This means a lot to me. You have to promise me and sign a document saying that you're not going to like steal my ideas. I'm like, sure, dude, whatever, just give it to me. And I
think my dad did that to you too, didn't he?
Your dad had me.
That's a whole nother episode
Yeah.
about my dad's book. Jesus.
Yeah.
So what was Silky Smooth's book about?
Silky Smooth's book was, about like the main character was some guy named Alphonse, who was also coincidentally the name of our
silk importer.
landlord, who was also and through like it was basically kind of like a street tough pimp story of,
And coincidentally thought he was a mermaid.
well, no, but what was great about this book was that he plugs his own business of importing silk garments from Jamaica like 4 times in the novel. Just randomly drops that information. The rest of the time he's like out slinging heroin and getting in fights with gangs and stuff. But what was great about the whole thing was that he handed me like this huge stack of paper, and at the end, after I typed everything up and I spent like hours on this, and I got really obsessed with this project because I thought it was hilarious. At the end of like everything, there was only like 46 pages of like actual story. But he had made it to seem like it was like this like Homer,
Right. Well, when you
Odyssey
hand somebody
epic or
a
something.
stack of 1,000 handwritten pages, when you condense them into the typewritten medium, 46 pages. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the tall guy house. All of us were like 6 feet tall, so that's the dumb name we had for this house, and it lasted for maybe 8 months before we got evicted, and all sorts of crazy stuff happened.
Yeah, crazy stuff did happen there. I remember many stories. What was your favorite story about what happened there? I think there's one that's memorable to me, but I'd rather hear you tell it because you were there.
I think the one that kind of sticks out. Thank you very much.
That was Julie getting robbed of beer. For anybody, what do you call it? Listening at home and wondering what the
noise and commotion was.
Asides. I think you call that an aside, right?
Sure.
It's an aside. Okay, so tall guy house, weird shit. Take one.
So Kyle, who we've mentioned multiple times in this production of ours, Kyle would always come home very drunk or stoned, and he would make food at like 2 a.m. Basically.
He was a drunk muncher.
He was a drunk muncher for sure. And one night he came home very, very drunk, put on a pot and was making some macaroni and cheese on the stove, and he forgot about it, and he went back to bed. So eventually the macaroni and cheese, caramelizes and it turns into a fire and sets off all of the fire alarms, the smoke alarms in the house, and there's like smoke everywhere. And Kyle and I lived on the top floor of the house, and Brandon and Ben lived in the bottom floor of the house.
Did you call it the tall floor?
We had some sort of code name for it because like they were like the early morning people, and we were like the night walkers. But night walker is like a Game of Thrones thing, so I don't think that's what we called it.
That was way before George R.R. Martin. Night goggles.
We had some.
Night owls. You had the night owls, and you had the day creepers.
Kyle and I had some stupid we're like the midnight daggers or something like that.
Oh, that's all right.
It was like, we came up.
Midnight Daggers is kind of cool.
Yeah, it would be a good band.
Yeah. And then the boring day people. Yeah.
So
day people don't really get a cool nickname.
No, they were just day people. Or team not fun.
Right.
So the smoke alarms go off. It's probably like 3 a.m, 3:30 or something. And, I come running out. Kyle, is like splashing water and trying to contain this massive smoke. It didn't really cause so much damage. It was just more, an annoyance. And then Ben, who was the drummer of our band, a very tall, strange, scary person, came running up the stairs. But he was like in a Speedo. He was like in a very, very form-fitting Speedo.
Like Speedo underwear or Speedo about to go swimming Speedo? Like European.
Yeah, like
European swimming pool wear.
yeah, like European swimming pool wear.
For real.
Yeah, he slept in that, which I thought was kind of
That's
weird.
weird. So he put his swim trunks on, not trunks, but swimsuit on to go sleeping.
Something like that.
Okay.
So he
Just
comes
in case he pissed
So he
himself.
comes running up the stairs, and he is just beat red, and he's so fucking mad, and he's yelling at Kyle, and like.
And I'm guessing he's rubbing his nipples furiously.
Well, he kind of was, but he was like, Kyle, blah blah blah. This is so like.
He's a massive
this-
nubble rip.
I can't believe you did this. This is so irresponsible.
Nipple
like,
rubber.
we could all have been killed. Blah 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 blah. But Kyle and I are sitting there, like, Kyle's being reprimanded, and he's trying to like keep a straight face. But the whole time, Ben is yelling at us. He's like, he had this weird tick where he would stand and talk to you, and he would like kind of rub his nipples with his hand. So he's doing this. He's like yelling at Kyle, but at the same time, he's in a Speedo.
How can
screaming.
you not laugh at this situation? You know.
So we're just sitting there like, okay, I'm just really sorry, dude. Like, you're totally right. I'm really sorry. We just go back to our little like upstairs corner, and we're just dying laughing. But
Yeah, the Midnight Dagger corner. So what happened at the end of that? And then that was it? Did Kyle stop making lunch or not lunch, but midnight dinner when he came home drunk? Or?
no, he did it all the time. It just he was maybe a little more careful about setting things on fire.
Okay. Well, one of the funniest things I remember from that house was Kyle taking the dishwashing hose out of the sink and pulling the hose all the way out to out of the sink down to crotch level, and then taping the lever down. So when anybody walked up to the kitchen sink and turned the faucet on, it'd spray him right in the crotch. And the thing is when you picture it in your mind, you think like, well, why wouldn't you notice there's a hose right at crotch level? You didn't.
Yeah, you didn't.
You just did. You didn't expect that, so you didn't see it. You just walk up, turn it on, like, oh fuck, again.
No.
Happened to me multiple times at that house. You think I'd learn up to the first time, but no.
Yeah.
And then the other good time was when he put bubble wrap underneath all the rugs at you guys' house you lived in.
Yeah, so we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment, and we were constantly pranking each other. And he was always so much better at it than I was, but he was also like home during the day, so I think he had more time to do setups and stuff. We worked like separate schedules, so he worked in the night, I worked in the day, and we'd come and see each other like right after I got off work and right as before he was going to work. So we had this sort of sweet spot in the day where we were like pranking each other.
So you think it's more difficult to come up with a practical joke in the evening than it is during the day? There might be something to that.
Well, I mean, I could have I did set some traps for him and stuff so that he would come home at like 8 a.m. and find things, but he had the daytime to really do setup. So I came home one day, and he's sitting on the couch watching, fucking Hercules or whatever shows. He had the weirdest taste in TV. And he came in, and he had the worst poker face ever. Like when he was about to like.
Oh, I remember that.
When he was pulling a prank or a joke or something, he was trying to like look serious, but then he would have this like funny grin. So I came in and I was like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing, just being normal, watching TV." I'm like, "Uh-huh." So I would like set stuff down, and I'd always like get a beer or something and then join him on the couch, and he's like super tense. And I was like, "Is everything okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, everything's fine." And then I walk across this oriental rug that we had on the floor, and it just starts popping off because he put all of this bubble wrap under the carpet, and then he just loses it. He's just dying laughing. And I have to admit, it was pretty funny, but...
See, I wasn't even there for the execution, but I remember him telling me about what he was going to do, and I remember you telling me about the result of it. and I was dying laughing both times. I didn't even have to be there. I mean, there's some jokes, some practical jokes that are so good you don't even need to be there for it, you know.
Yeah.
But Kyle was kind of the king of that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think we could do a whole podcast about Kyle at some point.
I think we probably will.
We should do that. The next episode
Next one will
we'll
be
do
Kyle.
a whole episode about Kyle and all our good stories about him, and even the bad ones, you know.
Yeah.
So if people want to tune in, you're gonna be able to see us laughing and crying at the same time. It's gonna be a very emotional, but hilarious episode. I anticipate.
Ugly laughing and
Ugly laughing.
funny crying.
And strange grief. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good place to wrap it up. I think
good.
we should address some outro stuff. Like if people are listening to this, we would appreciate if they rated us and left a review on wherever they're listening. You know, it helps us. It doesn't give us any more money, but we don't get money anyway. So maybe it gets a few more people to listen to us. I think
so.
Is how it works. Yeah.
It helps with the algorithm or something.
Yeah. And I think I would like to make a quick correction. Can I do that? Can I do the correction part right now? Is that right? Okay.
Feel free, my friend.
So it was brought up to me by the infamous Nacho, who will probably get his own episode at some point too, because I have almost as many hilarious stories to tell about him as Kyle. But I ran into him in London. He was on tour with The Weeknd. So that was a lot of jokes like, what are you doing for the weekend? And it kept going and going and going until he looked at me and was like, please stop. Like, okay. Anyway.
I know that impulse
I think
very well.
everybody else did it, but Nacho was the one to say stop. He told me that in episode 2, when we were talking about him meeting Kai, I said that he played in the band Wardruna. It was not actually Wardruna that Kai played in. It was Heilung. Heilung is an amazing folk Nordic metal band that does amazing theater production with their live performances. And I really apologize for the misstep, but Wardruna also does Norwegian folk metal, so I hope people can see my mistake and understand why, but now I'm addressing it and clearing the air, making all things equal pie, so to speak. Yeah, that's what I got. You got any corrections? You got anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that was enough? Should we riff on corrections for a minute?
I think we could do corrections as a whole other episode.
That's a good episode too. I'd like to thank our man with sound, Dan.
Thank you very
What's
much.
up?
Daniel Stern.
Dan, cheers.
Organizer of Podfest Berlin.
And to our lovely
Annual event.
audience for showing up, who will all go home immediately and rate and review us. They're really not.
Okay, come on.
Do we have... Oh, applause. Yeah, that's cool. We forgot to make applause signs. Okay, we'll see you next time. This has been We Can Edit That Out, episode 6. 6?
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah, you're right.
Getting on. Are we just going to do 10 episodes this season again?
I think so.
Okay. Because by the time we're done with 10, the summer will be over, and why not just keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, stay tuned. You'll find out if you listen. Do we have a... No, wait. Okay. We gotta have a ending catchphrase. Do we have an ending catchphrase? We go, and we're out. Or maybe we should come up with one now.
No, we just say ciao usually, right?
Oh, yeah.
'Cause it's
seems
like-
so pretentious. But we're in Europe, so it's okay. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Ciao.
Ciao. All right.
We can edit that out! We can edit that out! We can edit that out!